bars got that swing. Glasses clink, hear the ice cubes sing. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. There's Troy laughing with his gin and a grin, telling stories about where he's been. Boomer's got whiskey, he's loosening his tie, chasing dreams under a midday sky. The bartender knows us, he's mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment we're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. Sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh, we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Va salute and welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy weekend eve. We are almost there, my friends. I'll drink to that, let me tell you. It's Thankful Thursday, where I express what I am thankful for on this day. And I want to hear from each one of you what you all are thankful for today. First thing I'm thankful for, of course, is every single one of you. You are the lifeblood of this channel. And I can't express enough appreciation for you guys being here. I'd just be talking to nobody if you weren't here, which I might actually do if there was no one here. I do tend to talk just to talk, but I'm so glad you want to hear what I have to say. Big Al Presents, first one in here, says, happy, thankful Thursday, Liquid Lunchers. Thankful for this sunny day before the snow arrives this weekend. Hope everyone stays warm and safe out there. Have a great stream, Troy. Yeah, I was looking at the weather. It's going to be below freezing throughout the weekend and significantly below freezing here in the Chicago area. The teens and the 20s, possibly dipping below zero at night. So it's going to be chilly. It's going to be chilly. Thankful for the time away from the dilithium mines. I hear you on that one, my friend. And Troy and Netter's stream. Oh, thank you so much. Hail hydration. Absolutely. Out taking care of some business with some Ferengi officials. Have a great stream. Well, good luck with that. There's the love of my life coming in to call me the love of her life. I super appreciate her. She says, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, become a member, gift a membership. That's right. We're trying to reach 200 members by the end of the year. And let me ask you a question. Do you enjoy what I do here? Is it worth 16 cents a day, what I do here? Am I worth 16 cents? Because that's what membership for a month works out to. Regular membership is $5. That works out to an average of 16 cents a day. Am I not worth 16 cents? Just saying. And there is the beautiful werewolf herself, Charlotte Nightstar. Ahoo! Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. And Jonathan Conroy says, hail all, smash the like button, and enjoy the show. Yes, I hope you do all of those things. They all go hand in hand. Netter says, naturally, I'm in a meeting. Hopefully it won't take long. Well, I appreciate how hard you work so that we can do what we do here, my dear. Thank you. You make this possible. All of you make this possible. Joe's Atmosphere says, have a great stream, brother. You too, my friend. He is constantly sharing out my streams. I do my best to share out his streams. Had a little trouble with that today. Twitter chat is twittering, I guess. I don't know. So I was unable to access the chat. I was able to get into chat, but I wasn't able to see the messages in order to, click to share them. It was kind of a mess. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and become a member. And if you were going to give a super chat of $5 or more, why not gift a membership instead and make our family grow? That's right. If every member were to gift a membership, one single membership, we would hit our goal instantly. These next few weeks look like a repeat of February 2011. Broke quite a few state records on how cold it was. Yeah, it got so cold, it cracked my engine block. I kid you not. It was really, really bad. Troy, by saying 16 cents a day, you make yourself sound like one of those infomercials about starving children in Ethiopia. Well, I can't lay any claim to I did think of that as I was saying it, though. And I realized, yeah, that is what it works out to. And that really is not a lot. I think you guys know that this YouTube thing, as of last year, I decided to try making this my full-time thing. So if I'm not making 16 cents a day from you, I guess I would be starving. Although I could afford to starve for a little while. I mean, I definitely could drop a few pounds. Unlike that woman on the news who claims to be starving and she looks like the chocolate Pillsbury dough girl. But just saying. But I do appreciate everything that you guys do for me. And if you can't be a member, I understand. Not everyone has the financial means to do so. There are so many ways to support. Just like Joe's Atmosphere, constantly sharing out the streams. And another person who shares out the streams on a regular basis, whom I don't even see in the chat very often, is Peter Venkman's girl. From the Peter Venkman fan site. She is constantly sharing out the streams. There are some great share warriors, I guess I'm going to have to call them, out on the social medias. Super appreciate that, helping us, make our reach. Yeah, Troy, I think we both have some reserves that we could last a few days without food. Yeah, I'm going to have to start thinking about doing that voluntarily pretty soon. But that's, when you think about it, being overweight is just a reflection of the blessings that you live under, that you don't have to worry about where your next meal is coming from. But so I definitely do want to hear from all of you guys. What are you thinking today? What are you thankful for today? One of the things that I regularly share about that I'm thankful for is when I see things happening the way I think they should. Um, we see a lot of injustice in the world. We see a lot of insanity in the world. And every now and again, you'll see a situation where you go, okay, this is the way it's supposed to work. It's not perfect, but at least things are operating as designed. Thankful for that. So let me share this really quick with you. Share screen, entire screen without sound, because I don't need the sound. Nintendo stocks sees a 33% drop despite record Switch 2 sales. Here's why investors are worried. Those of you that watch Geeky Geezers on a regular basis know that I am no big fan of Nintendo as a company. I have no strong opinions about Nintendo's games and their products, especially historically going back to the late 80s, early 90s. In fact, some of it was really, really good, right? But as a company, they have been just evil, just evil. And companies like that, I want to see go bankrupt. I really do. So let's see what's happening to Nintendo. Let's see what fruits they are reaping here. Nintendo is facing a sharp market correction with its stock down roughly 33% over the past 5 months, even as the company celebrates a historically strong launch of its next generation hardware. Let me pause right there, because this is numbers manipulation, right? They did really, really well on one score, right? Their sales of a product, right? We sold more of these products than usual, right? But how does that affect your bottom line? If you're an investor in a company, you're not just looking at that one thing. So by the same token, look at the Blue People movie with that James Cameron does, right? The last one made more dollars than the previous movie, I think, or was at least even with it. But when you consider what ticket sales are now, he actually had like half the butts in seats. So he lost half of his audience to maintain the same income. And that's not sustainable, because if they double ticket sales again and then he halves his viewership again, he again gets nowhere. And it could spell the death of theaters. So there you go. I want to say hi to Connie Cleary, who I saw just pop in here. Sorry I'm late. Was doing some paperwork. You don't have to apologize for not being here at the start. You know, that's especially with Liquid Lunch. It's one of those things where I'm here for this hour, and you just kind of come and go as you can, just like friends working together. We see each other in the lunchroom. Maybe we overlap by about a half hour, maybe not. You know, it's perfectly cool. F Nintendo, F them sideways with a hot poker. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So let's get back to this. The Nintendo stock drop has puzzled casual observers, but investors appear increasingly uneasy about what comes next for the company in 2026. I don't know if they're going to get into a lot of the issues that I have had with the company that I think contribute to some of this loss of market share, but we'll discuss it. Shares of Nintendo closed nearly 9,950 yen in mid January, marking a steep decline from highs reached in the second half of 2025. The pullback comes despite the successful debut of Nintendo Switch 2, which became the fastest selling console launch in Nintendo's history, moving approximately 3.5 million units in its first 4 days. On paper, the Switch 2 launch should have reassured investors. Nintendo even raised its internal sales forecast for the system to 19 million units for the current fiscal year, uh, up from the earlier estimated 15 million. However, markets tend to look forward, not back. True enough. While launch demand was strong, post-launch momentum appears to be cooling, particularly during the crucial holiday period. In several major markets, including the United States and parts of Europe, Switch 2 sales reportedly lagged behind the original Switch's first Christmas performance. For investors, that raises questions about whether early adopters exhausted demand faster than expected. That ultimately led to Nintendo's stock drop. Another factor weighing on Nintendo's stock drop is uncertainty around the company's 2026 software lineup. While Nintendo has announced several titles, there is noticeable absence of a clear tentpole release on the scale of a Mario Kart World or Legend of Zelda that could anchor the year. Historically, Nintendo's strongest financial periods are driven not just by hardware, but by blockbuster first-party games that sustain engagement and drive software sales. At present, investors appear unconvinced that Nintendo has revealed a must-have title capable of reigniting momentum later this year. Saw a couple comments that I wanted to get back to. I think Wall Street is looking at the RAM shortage and how that is going to affect future sales in consoles, not just Nintendo. Yeah, and all of that also plays into all of this AI, build up and all that kind of stuff too. All that plays into this as well. Tariffs are still a concern. If this stuff is being made overseas, it's going to cost more, which is also going to start hurting the company. Honestly, these companies really do need to start focusing on pricing, and they need to eat those. They need to eat those tariffs. If they keep passing them along to the buyers, to the customers are going to start cooling on their purchases, and that's going to hurt them in the long run. They should see the tariffs for what they are and absorb that cost themselves from their own profits. If they choose not to, that's fine. They're just going to keep losing business. Operating as designed. Beyond content concern, also has external cost pressures. We got a little ahead of the article. Memory prices, particularly DRAM. I don't think people pronounce that DRAM, do they? It's DRAM, right? I'm not sure. Have surged as artificial intelligence companies. See, I'm getting ahead. I could write for that Park Place. Intelligence companies aggressively purchase supply, tightening availability across the tech sector. This has raised fears that console manufacturers may be forced to absorb higher production costs or pass them on to the customers. I'm telling you, you pass them on to the customers, you're going to lose customers. Your prices are already too damn high for what you're selling. And I joke about being able to write for that Park Place. There's a completely different skill between knowing this stuff and communicating it in a, off the cuff video and writing prose. So, I want to give proper attribution. I thought this was from Martin Montanaro. Yeah, what Martin Montanaro does, I can't actually do. I'm just joking about that. He's a very talented writer. Even Nintendo, which is typically conservative in its supply planning, is not immune. The possibility of a Switch 2 price increase has become a recurring concern in market analysis, especially in elevated component costs. If elevated component costs persist through 2026, and I could almost guarantee they will. things are probably going to get worse. I don't assume, it's not a certainty, but it's highly likely. And then tariffs, just like I said, see, I know this topic. Trade policy has also entered the conversation. Ongoing and potential tariffs affecting international manufacturing and imports remains a wild card for global electronic companies. The solution, Nintendo, start building factories in the United States and employing American workers. That would be a great way to avoid tariffs. Nintendo president, I'm sorry, sir, Shuntaro Furukawa, did my best, previously acknowledged that profitability depends heavily on procurement conditions, currently fluctuations, and tariffs. All factors currently in flux. For investors already on edge, those uncertainties add another layer of risk. Ultimately, the Nintendo stock drop reflects a shift in sentiment rather than a collapse in fundamentals. Nintendo remains profitable, its brand power is unmatched, and its intellectual property portfolio is among the strongest in entertainment. But markets are signaling concerns over slowing post-launch hardware demand, an unproven 2026 release calendar, rising production costs, uncertainty around pricing and margins. The pricing, I think, is a big one. I think a lot of companies are overestimating how important these unnecessary products are. Look, games and toys and entertainment and so forth are not necessities to live, right? You don't need them to live. You need to pay your bills. You need to pay for the roof over your head, your heating, your clothing, your food, right? And those costs are going up and up and up too, right? Fuel costs, more and more expensive. Those things get paid for before I start thinking about, something like this. And then you start going, well, how much am I actually playing games, right? Is it worth it to me to spend this incredible amount of money on these game systems and then complain about, the bugginess and, not ready on day one and how they just bricked my system and so on and so forth? Maybe it would be cheaper to just spend 16 cents a day on a YouTuber. I'm kidding. I'm just making a joke. Until Nintendo provides clearer answers, likely through major game announcements or updated financial guidance, investors appear content to wait on the sidelines. Yeah. Start giving me a reason to invest in you, or I won't invest in you. Nintendo has weathered downturns before, and a 33% stock decline doesn't spell doom. Still 2026, I lost a decade there, is shaping up to be a prove it year. Strong Nintendo Direct presentations, clear software roadmaps, and reassurance on pricing will be essential if the company hopes to reverse the current slide. For now, the market is sending a clear message. Record launches alone are no longer enough. That's a great point. Let's see here. You're absolutely right, Troy. I don't understand why people don't understand. That's the whole point of the tariffs, making import pay more to the point where it's cheaper to build a factory here. Yes. Or if you keep passing those prices along to your customers, they will stop buying from you. So now you lose your business entirely, right? You lose the United States, and it shifts, right? We see these major shifts in entertainment all the time. This is why we've talked about all the problems with the movie industry that is killing the cinema, right? The cinema is dying. People are not going to the cinema for a variety of reasons. The prices keep going up, so they price themselves out of the market. The product that's being presented isn't worth the price of admission, literally, right? People do not want to be preached to. They don't like the low quality of the films that are coming out. And so a whole industry is going to die as a result. Game companies are having the same problem with the quality being low, the product. We've been talking about early switches, burning up in people's hands and the batteries exploding and crap like that, and lower RAM because cheaper, and so the games don't function as well as they should, and all other kinds of problems. And then, I don't know about Nintendo, but I know other game companies are having all kinds of problems with the DEI inclusion in their products. People not liking the storylines and so forth. This is what happens. And then you put a tariff on and you say, look, you're not practicing fair trade with the United States. We're going to put this tariff on you. Okay, well, we'll just pass it along to our buyers. Well, that just compounds the problem. Now less people are going to buy from you. Congratulations. And the tariff works. In the good old US of A, I see, it was a continuation. Building factories here in the good old US of A makes companies base here stop chasing the cheap labor of outside the US just to pay more money to ship it back here. That's exactly right. Keep in mind that your cheap products from overseas, right? The cheap toys and other products that you're having shipped in from China, the Temus and the Wish.coms and all that other kind of stuff, not to mention the big companies making stuff in these companies, right? They're literally using slave labor. You are a slaver if you are buying into that. So I don't want to hear any talk about reparations and how bad slavery was and how evil we are. You're doing it today by supporting companies that literally use slave labor. Just saying, right? And so this is the administration saying we're gonna right this imbalance, right? No, you don't get to use slave labor in other countries while there's manufacturers here, just trying to make ends meet and not being able to find a job, Lunch. See, this is what I mean. It's lunchtime now for the Tired Midnight blogger, Curtis Selby. Welcome, my friend. So he comes and joins us for the second half of the show. That's how it works. That's good. Yeah, I wanted to pay for a lecture. I'll buy tickets to a TED Talk. Some of those TED Talks are not worth the price of admission either. I've heard some of them. Even some of the ones you think are pretty good don't hold up over time. Go back and check out J.J. Abrams' Mystery Box Talk. It was a TED Talk. That doesn't hold up quite as well. Good thing we got around that pesky 13th Amendment. Exactly. So I'm going to take a quick break. Going to go ahead and give me 3 minutes to play a couple promos to let you know what we got coming up this week. And I'd love for you to start typing to let me know what you all are thankful for on this Thankful Thursday. Be right back, my friends.
You are watching Liquid Lunch, streaming every weekday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's sip together.
This week on Netter's Network, if you love a good yarn, you'll love who Netter's sitting down with. Storyman Jack fashions original audio stories of all genres and talks about how to write for the would-be author. Join them this Thursday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network.
This week, on Saturday Night at the Movies, a death row guard learns that a gentle giant in his charge possesses a mysterious gift. Tom Hanks and Michael Clark Duncan star in this deep, compelling, and emotional narrative by Stephen King. It's The Green Mile. This Saturday at a special time, 8 Central, 9 Eastern on Netters Network.
In a world where nearly all the entertainment is remakes, reboots, and rehashes of older properties, maybe it's worth it to get some commentary from people who experienced it all when it was novel and fresh. Catch Boomer and Pacelli on Geeky Geezers every Sunday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Exterminate!
This week on Live from Sparkwood and 21, the Superfans are presenting Part 2 of Twin Peaks, Fire Walk With Me, Teresa Banks, and the Last Days of Laura Palmer, the fan edit of Fire Walk With Me interspersed with the missing pieces. Join us to watch live off-platform and hear the commentary on deleted scenes and affiliates, Tuesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern.
This week on Last Call presents the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. What seems at first to be a harmless prank played upon a red-headed man is soon revealed to be much more. A sinister scheme devised by the Napoleon of crime. How will Holmes unravel the machinations of the Red-Headed League? We'll find out this Tuesday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
We now return to our liquid lunch.
An unintentional benefit for fandom is that with reciprocal tariffs, maybe it stops being advantageous for studios to pander to foreign markets. That might be a secondary, inadvertent, ancillary sort of benefit, but not a direct one. Despite what the president said early in his tariff implementation, you really can't tariff a film. You can't tariff that form of entertainment. It's not a good physical product that gets imported. We talk about importing information and importing films and stuff from other countries colloquially, but in a legal sense, you're not actually doing importing. Importing means on a plane, on a ship, a physical thing that is physically being sold. So he can't really put a tariff on, a Marvel film that's filmed in the UK or something like that. But he can absolutely put a tariff on the toys and the t-shirts and all that other stuff that are ancillary to that get shipped in. And that also might have a cooling impact. If I don't know how popular a movie is in China, but if China is making a lot of money making tchotchkes, action figures, and so forth, they might demand that their people go see the movie to support it. So there might be that kind of a relationship there. Don't know. Big Al says, thankful I got my Saturday Films with Friends planned out. Yeah, something that, obviously because Netter and I kind of affiliate with Big Al for the Saturday Night at the Movies, we get to see his plan, and he plans out for the year. Netter does it a little differently. She says, well, I'm just going through all the movies behind me alphabetically, so it'll be just the next one in line. But you don't know what those movies are, but he knows by day by week what movie he's going to be doing, and he's got a calendar, and he's very, very organized. And so I'm thankful for his process and all of his efforts as well. I also wanted to let me back up. There was another comment here. It was from Curtis, I think, when he got here. Yeah, he said, good thing we got around that pesky 13th Amendment. Right. And I wanted to draw the correlation between the 13th Amendment. Okay, so I shouldn't assume that everybody knows what the 13th Amendment is. The 13th Amendment is the abolition of slavery, right? And so how do you get around that? Because that was in the Reconstruction period, that was absolutely a concern about certain plantation owners and business owners in the South. How do we continue to do our business without slaves? We have to free our slaves. Now we've got to pay them a fair wage. They tried fighting that even too. That's part of what Reconstruction was all about. So there's two ways that they have gotten around slavery. One is, okay, well, we'll just start manufacturing in other countries where we can use slave labor or the equivalent of slave labor, right? Where they don't have a minimum wage and they pay pennies a day, right? It costs almost nothing. It's effectively slavery as far as the company is concerned. The other way is you continue the slavery a different way here in the United States. You import people who are not citizens, who are not working for minimum wage and will work for pennies a day. That's another kind of slavery. We call that illegal immigration. See how these things work together? So if you're no ICE, no ICE, no ICE, okay, we could always go back to regular slavery. How would you like that? Are you against slavery? Then you should be against all slavery. Just saying. Because that's what effectively illegal immigration is. But it's the same mental process as we're going to pass all of these environmental laws so that we keep the air clean and we protect the spotted horny toad and its wetlands, and no more fires, no more hurricanes ever, because we're going to pass all these laws. That's great. Now it costs 10 times as much to do anything here in the United States because of all of these restrictions. Meanwhile, China just goes on and keeps doing what they're doing and says, screw your environmental law, putting out the cheap stuff, and people go, oh, well, it's cheaper to buy it from China. I guess I'll just buy it from China. Congratulations. All you did was put a bunch of Americans out of work, and you've done zero to fix the environment. An unintentional, oh yeah, I brought that up before. Well, Troy, we have digital currency. Why couldn't you put a digital tariff on a movie manufactured outside the United States? Because you can't do it legally. It doesn't matter what kind of currency it is. It doesn't matter what the currency is or how it transpired. You can't legally, a tariff does not apply, right? It does not apply to that particular service. It only applies to goods. That's why. It has nothing to do with the currency. I meant that if we put a tariff on China, put one on us, and that affects the studio sending the finished product. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Maybe they start making movies for the American audiences more. I see what you're saying. Okay, the whole tariff war thing has many dimensions to it, and I hadn't considered that particular part of it. But there's also the fact of, why does China what incentive, and this is what you're basically getting at, Booger, what incentive does China have to prop up say a Disney film, right? Disney has done a great job of pandering to China. So China turns around and says, okay, we'll support you. Everybody, you must go see this movie, because they can do that in their country, and they do that. You will lose your social credit score if you don't go see this movie. That's what you do with your stipend for entertainment this week. And then suddenly Disney gets these great numbers from China. They get great numbers, not necessarily great money, because remember, China keeps most of that money. So again, Disney's got a Disney, I guess, and I guess they like losing money. For example, if my wife's mother wires her some money from France, it's taxed. My friends and the U.S. Yes, but you're not comparing apples and apples. You're comparing apples and oranges. You're talking about a whole different thing, a whole different area of business. Laws are specific and they matter. Oh, and you're back to work already. Well, take care, Curtis. I understand. So yeah. I during the break, I actually saw another article up on that Park Place that was like, whew, talk about a dodged bullet. I hate to rehash stuff like this, but if we're going to be thankful, we should go back and look at reasons why we're thankful. So let's go to it. Where's my share screen? Here it is. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 storyboards had Superman killing Lex Luthor. So everything that we said about the grimdark Snyderverse and the neck snapping and all that kind of stuff looks like he was going to double down on it. It was going to get worse. So for everybody that's still carrying the water for Zack Snyder, that's not Superman. It never was. Well cast, but that was not Superman that we saw in the Snyderverse. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel was already dark, with Superman snapping General Zod's neck in a climactic moment. The director, known for his edgy approach, that's putting it mildly, had plans to take things even further and have Superman kill Lex Luthor. As part of the social media trend revisiting 2016, Snyder once again took to Instagram to share pictures from his time leading the DC cinematic universe. In addition to behind-the-scenes photos, Snyder shared storyboards and plot breakdowns outlining his vision for Justice League 2. Snyder reportedly intended to more heavily feature Darkseid. By the way, the news that I'm seeing is that Darkseid is going to be the main villain for the next Superman movie in the Gunverse. We'll talk more about that probably on Sunday. Whom he planned to introduce in the first Justice League. The villain was removed by Joss Whedon when Joss Whedon stepped in to finish the film after Snyder suffered a family tragedy in 2017. When the Snyder Cut was restored after the fan demand, they received some idea of where the story was going. Still, the new images may come as something of a shock. At top of one of the storyboards, Snyder wrote that Darkseid would take full control of Superman and fight Batman. In the next line, Snyder continued, Lex believes he's won, but comes face to face with Superman. He looks at Lex with burning eyes and lights him on fire. As Lex screams, the world turns red. I mean, yeah. The idea of an evil or compromised Superman has appeared in comics before, but how general movie audiences would have reacted remains unknown. It's very generous of you, but we know exactly how people would react. While still a consequential character, General Zod is arguably nowhere near the level of Lex Luthor as villain fans love to hate. The backlash to Zod's death in Man of Steel was considerable, and one can only imagine the outcry if Snyder had been able to fulfill his vision and have Superman kill Lex Luthor. The rest of the storyboards were similarly bombastic, though not as shockingly brutal. Darkseid would lead a full-scale invasion of Earth beyond the ability of the Justice League to fight, but led and inspired by Superman, the world's armies would come together. Themyscira and Atlantis would also join the war, Snyder wrote, and underlined the entire world becomes a Justice League. That overall story, not a bad one. It's been done in the comics. It could be adapted, but not with Superman killing Lex Luthor that way. Snyder compared his scope to the Lord of the Rings, and it undoubtedly would have been spectacular. But even after Superman inevitably came out of Darkseid's mind control to lead and inspire, the image of him burning Lex Luthor alive would have indelibly remained in the minds of the audience. And again, this is, again, Zack Snyder not understanding. He sees where he wants to get to, but he's not willing to take the steps necessary to get there, right? He wanted, I've said this before, he wanted to do the Dark Knight Returns, right? Which in the comics was a future Elseworld comic that takes place decades after Superman and Batman had been friends and colleagues for many years. You don't tell the same story with two people who've never met. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then you have to rely on, why did you say that name? You know, in order to have any kind of a connection. And it's tenuous at best, you know. Oh, we're gonna bond over the fact that our mother had the same name. Woo! You know, I mean, anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought. Let me see what you guys were saying here. Studios don't care about tariffs. It's about the cost of the movies. Just look at how studios. Well, that's the other thing too. If the costs get out of hand here, you're going to drive people out of the country to go, do it for less. There are plenty of movies being made in the EU and further east. Movies have been made in the UK for years. Yes, exactly. Mec Paul, it's lunchtime. The Ferengi Liquidator is no longer in working order. Here I are waiting for freshly squeezed lemonade. Hail hydration. Hail hydration. But I wouldn't expect any freshly squeezed lemonade as long as pay Pam is at the juicer. Not a huge Snyderverse fan, but with Gunn, we got subjective truth, social justice, and the globalist way. Yeah, we traded one bad for another bad. You know, they're just different bad, right? One is Snyder is a moral relativist, and Zack Snyder is a globalist. So I am not defending Zack Snyder in the slightest, but I can see where he was going with this. He was setting up this to go into Flashpoint, and they have to go back in time and fix this and stop it. Look, I have no problem with the overarching story, but it's his actual implementation I have huge problems with. Lamb Plus Eyes, good to see you. Good afternoon, Troy, and all here. I have never been a fan of the Snyderverse. Me personally, I like a hero story for inspiration, not dark and gloomy. That is just me. It's not just you, though. It's the vast majority of people, especially those who understand what a hero is, right? Darkseid always went after Supergirl since she was more powerful than Superman comic-wise. Also, he had the Furies, an all-female group that dealt with problematic uh, problematic superheroes. I always felt that there was an underlying hashtag Me Too element to Darkseid and his Furies. And if you kind of look into it, I think that's where Kirby was originally going with all of that. So you've got to remember that Darkseid is, one of the old gods, right? Or no, I'm sorry, one of the new gods. My apologies, one of the new gods, and an evil one at that. So he represents like evil and corruption, Satan type stuff, right? So he's looking at innocence to corrupt, and Supergirl is absolutely an innocent to be corrupted. Well, at least she was before these guys got their hands on it. The Supergirl we're getting is not the Supergirl that I grew up with, who was the preteen to teen girl who was pretty innocent, and Superman was trying to protect. So this has a very different play to it, but yeah, it's exactly right. Great story that they did in the early aughts, where Darkseid kidnaps Supergirl and exposes her to black kryptonite, right? Which basically turns her evil, right? And that had to be overcome, and that led to this lore that is retroactively attributed to. It came up in Smallville as well, when Lex Luthor creates, he exposes green kryptonite to intense heat. It turns it black, and then it has that effect on Clark. It makes him evil. And they retroactively apply that to the artificial kryptonite that was made by Gus Gorman in Superman 3. That again turns Superman evil. So that's become a part of the lore. Snyder was too dark and gloomy, and Gunn is just they're both incompetent in different ways, and they are also both they lack enough personal maturity and morality to be able to write a character like Superman. If you don't understand heroism, if you don't understand good and evil, if you are a moral relativist in your life, and on top of that, you are an overgrown child, it's going to show in the stories that you tell. But I'm glad ultimately and thankful that we did not end up getting another murder from the Murder Man of Steel. I don't know. I'm sure there's a better pejorative I could come up with, but that's what I got for right now. But Gus Gorman was an underrated genius. Not only did he prove tar from cigarettes could turn Superman evil, but he gave us a good part of the plot of Office Space. That is true. That is a great point. That is an excellent point. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely true. And I think the way the character was intended, too much of the goofy, silly Richard Pryor came through. The way he was originally written. In fact, if you read the comic book adaptation of Superman 3, you get a much better Gus Gorman, in my opinion. And if you check out the the Superman 78 comics, gives you a different take on Superman 3 as it was originally envisioned, where the villain would have been Brainiac. So I find that interesting as well. Anyway, folks, that's it for me today. Very, very thankful. Thankful that tonight Netter has 2 streams, one for the members at 8 Central. If you are a member on Netter's network, trivia night. So come have a little bit of fun before her Thursday Things at 9, where her guest is author Storyman Jack. And you can find out about his new book and where you can get it. So that is tonight, my friends. Tomorrow night wow, it's tomorrow night already. We're already at Friday. Karaoke stream on Last Call. So hope you can join us. And I hope you all take care of yourselves, because I am so thankful for you. I want you to be around for a very, very long time. Take care of your health. If you're not healthy, get healthy. If you are healthy, stay healthy. Stay hydrated, because that's part of it. Drink responsibly. And I'll see y'all on the next one, everyone. Take care. There we go.
Goodbye. Hope to see you again real soon.
So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun, our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon, chasing that jazz under the high